Good morning, Mr. Robertson.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Robertson, do you hold a position in the municipal government of the city of Derby?
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
The official title is Chief Administrative Officer.
Okay. And are you sometimes referred to as the administrative aide to the mayor?
Yes, sir.
How long have you held that position?
Just about 6.5 years.
So you held that position during the time that, or prior to the time that Mr. Domurad was appointed Director of Finance?
Yes, sir.
Is there a job description for your position, by the way?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and is this sort of like a town manager type position, or is it different?
One could compare it to a town manager's position, but you do have an elected mayor who is my boss.
Okay. Now, Mr. Robertson, I'm going to ask you to direct your attention to October of 2008.
Yes, sir.
Did you, at that time, communicate with Mr. Domurad about his prospective appointment to the Director of Finance?
Prior to October of 2008, there were a number of conversations, yes, sir.
That'd be in September 2008?
I don't recall, but I think it even goes back further than that.
Did you participate, or in fact, do the contract of employment of which we spoke earlier?
When you say do?
Drafted.
It was basically a contract that Attorney Coppola had created for one or two prior people. I would change some of the aspects.
So did you put the final touches on this contract?
Not the final touches, but I basically presented the mayor after a number of months of conversation with him.
Okay. Were you present when Mr. Domurad signed that contract of employment?
Initially, the initial one, no.
The initial one?
Yes.
I mean, there was more than one contract of employment?
No, there was, the initial contract had been misplaced.
The initial contract had been misplaced after it had been signed?
That's correct.
And so, are you suggesting that the parties signed a second employment contract?
I know that they signed a second one.
And do you happen to have a copy of that?
No, sir.
Has that been misplaced also?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Robertson, prior to Mr. Domurad signing the first contract,
Yes, sir.
did you bring to him a letter for him to sign proposing to resign for certain reasons if things didn't work out?
I don't recall that at all.
You don't recall it?
No.
Do you recall going to Mr. Domurad's home in September with his wife being present, sitting at a table, and telling him that he has to sign this letter of resignation prior to signing the agreement? Do you remember saying that to him at all? Or words similar to that effect?
Words, subject, but not anywhere near the same words.
Well, let's not mince words here. Did you ask him to sign a letter which, for certain reasons...
No.
You didn't ask him to sign a letter? What did you ask him to sign?
I told him, as I recall, that he may be asked, that he consider signing a letter of resignation.
And this is in September?
No, I don't remember when the conversation was. The conversation was later than September.
Later in September?
No, later than September.
Oh, later than September?
Yes, sir.
Well, was it before his appointment by the Board of Aldermen?
I don't recall. I know the conversation existed. I don't remember exactly when.
Okay. Let's assume that you just remember having a conversation with him about signing a letter of resignation. What was the ostensible purpose of him signing a letter of resignation before he was appointed?
I would never have asked him to sign a letter of resignation before he was appointed, because that wouldn't make sense.
True. So when did you ask him to sign the letter of resignation?
I didn't ask him to sign a letter of resignation.
I thought you testified that you did, sir.
No, I believe I said that I suggested that the mayor at some point may request him to sign a letter of resignation.
I see. And were you the courier of that letter of resignation? Did you at any time meet with Mr. Domurad for the purpose of him signing the letter of resignation you said the mayor might want him to sign?
No, sir.
You weren't. So you never saw him sign a letter of resignation?
No, sir.
And you never saw him sign the employment agreement? Or did you?
Not I saw him sign the second employment agreement.
When was the second employment agreement signed, if you know?
Sometime shortly after, not shortly, sometime after the first one was signed.
So the first one was lost pretty soon after the fact. Is that what you're saying?
I was unable to find it.
And so you churned out a second one?
That's correct.
And that was that the same as the first one?
Yes, sir.
And was that within a matter of weeks of the first one being lost?
I'm not certain, but I would guess that would be somewhat correct.
And that would be before the mayor recommended Mr. Domurad for appointment to the Board of Aldermen?
No, sir.
This is all after the appointment?
That's correct.
In fact, you have nothing.